Greetings, my name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video out to you because you're watching. Thank you and welcome. It's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, licensed presenters, the Core New Core, my patrons, and anyone interested in surviving and thriving as a Pilates instructor. Three titles today. Number one is distinguishing simultaneous signals. So, distinguishing simultaneous signals. Number two is Kentucky Fried Pilates. And number three is posture is your armor. So, number one, in terms of this specific practice of mine to lay my shoulders over a roller, cup my head in my hands, create tension between my hands and my head to get a lengthening stretch that almost always has some kind of adjustment in it, vertebrae of the vertebrae. Vertebrae. That ought to be a word, isn't it? Vertebrae. And in that happening, the tension coming from or moving through the connection between my hands and my head is why, especially today, it seemed that there was such an adjustment in my neck, the adjustment in my shoulder, which is routinely there, was just all part of what was predominantly the sensation of my neck adjusting. Nothing heavy. Don't do this without a doctor, and be safe and have a teacher, and all of that, because anything you try to do, anything in which you try to do holds the possibility that you could get hurt, right? So be careful. And all I'm talking about is just stretching your neck, and yet Pilates is all about be careful. So, distinguishing simultaneous signals means you have to listen to what your senses are telling you, and sometimes they're all mixed in together, or at least a shoulder adjustment and an adjustment in my neck all happen at like the same time, but because I'm at least aware of those two and rarely happening so simultaneously that it's indistinguishable, you have to listen to do that. So, or at least be paying attention while it's happening to have an impression of went on after it's over. So number two, Kentucky Fried Pilates. So this is a dictionary. It has a bunch of words in it. And Pilates, by and large, is treated like Pilates is exercises without any grammar, without any structure, because historical record only gives us what it gives us, and thank you, Lord, thank you, Joe, that Joe gave us this book and gave us that sequence. And germane to this conversation is the interview with Gail Eisen, co-author of this book. Insofar as the comment about the exercises were meant to be done without stopping. I always knew about flowing through, or that was my big thing. But the flowing through is necessary, and if it's not flowing through, then what do? You're stopping. So it's not just about an exercise and then stopping. With this point of view, the book I wrote about the elements of Pilates and the Michael Miller view, I was trying to imitate Strunk's book on English, The Elements of Style. And it's all self-published and it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a point of view of Pilates that tries to establish what it is, as though it can be explained. Why am I off on this? Why are we talking about Kentucky Fried Pilates? Because, a big article really sponsored something written for today's audience on Pilates, or maybe just fitness, but it's 5 must-do exercises from Pilates. It's 5 of these words, as though the words themselves are all there is to offer, or all there is to what it is. So Kentucky Fried as a place to go get chicken, you go get pieces and parts. You don't get the whole thing. And you choose the pieces and parts. And much of Pilates is Kentucky Fried Pilates because it just chooses pieces and parts, using exercises as words. Beyond that, or more than that, if you're in pursuit of Pilates, is seeing the structure of the sequence of the mat. And seeing the structure, absorb that structure as a language that you can apply across the spectrum of human individuality. Egyptian hieroglyphics, little pictures, were assumed to be little pictures, and that the pictures communicated something. It wasn't until the Rosetta Stone that it became obvious that hieroglyphics were an alphabet, and that what was there was language. And all of the experts, the best experts that we had, contemporary before the Rosetta Stone, all they had was, or all they could figure on was that, one way of looking at it. But the Rosetta Stone took the understanding of hieroglyphics, the understanding of what each individual word means, each individual picture means, to seeing a structure, a language, and that, as a Pilates person, is what you want. Is you want control, and especially as an instructor, you want to understand the language, and you want confidence that you know what the language is, and your choice of what's next is it in terms of what your next cue is, or what the next exercise is, The language is there to reinforce your intuition or challenge it, but it's there as a point of view that helps you evaluate what to do on a lot of different levels. So Kentucky Fried, that too, Michael. So where is that coming from? So in the intermediate reformer sequence that I do the long stretches and then the semicircle. And the last long stretch is face up rather than face down. It's the long back stretch, and it's got a lot to do with controlling your body in space from the axis of your shoulders hanging out in space. It's a lot of shoulders. And going from that into shoulders anchored on the reformer, set up to do the semicircle where there's so much stretch on the shoulders involved. For me, it's one of those places where it's so obvious that this follows that in a manner that acts to accomplish something where what's happening and prepare for what's next. You get the shoulder bridge, and you get all through the, not shoulder bridge, the semicircle, and you get all through the articulation, the sinuous articulation of your spine, out in space, and then you anchor at the knee to do pull straps, thigh stretch, and arm circles. I know there's a lot of other stuff that's in there that's possible. Fundamentally, those three things at that level for me. So this it will just always be part of the spectrum that looks at and presents Pilates as exercises that you have to apply an issue to. That the word doesn't have meaning unless there's an issue in the individual that individual needs the word for. So it's saying that Pilates is issue driven by the individual, and to me nothing could be further from the truth. Pilates is a pursuit of performing the mat, and in so doing, reflecting in our movement and reaching for control in our movement that maximizes our ability to move in the moment that we're in. So, all that, and I haven't gotten to, yeah, I did, didn't I? Number 3, though. Oh no, your posture is your armor. Well, I'm going to save some of my energy for Facebook. And just say that I have this story about, not a story, but I've had a large spectrum of clients. And some of them have had more obvious reasons to be self-conscious about their chest than others. But I'd say leaning into especially being well endowed for the female gender. But the point being that when you walk them over and stand them up on the Cadillac, so they're, if they have the room, if there's room, so they're up high and above or whatever, and you arrange for low springs coming to low leg springs, coming into a wrap around the wrist, not a handle, but a wrap. So the person can be like Titanic and lean out into space. Holding a straight body while letting the springs connected to your hands all form a line. Your arm and your springs are what you're leaning against. To find what? To find what? A sensation of alignment. And so, adjustments of rotating around the ears to get a sense of pulling out of the neck. Usually ribs that pop, see, you lose the connection of the transverse abdominis connected to the rib cage that connects down into the pelvis. And so a broken back, or where your ribs pop, is all about that loss of connection between the shoulders and the hips. So, in taking a person right out into that may the point is to provide two different things and let them choose and have the confidence of the choice. So, in finding a good connection in the body between ears, shoulders, and hips, then that dynamic, that connection, is what you're after when you stand up straight. And that whatever happens on the outside of your body is the result of what's going on beneath. That I would use the metaphor and say that when you wear good posture, it's like armor. No matter how you're built, no matter what you got going on up front. When you're in good posture, it's like armor, because somehow that's apparent. And it certainly comes from the inside out, and therefore isn't an engagement of, or an entertainment of intimidation or wilting from the posture that you're after. And in posture, to me, that is its own sense of armor. Because, think of it, it is. I mean, you've got tension going on, and it's from that tension and from the rib cage pulling down and connecting into the hips, engaging in core nu tension, that gives you this, forces really, expresses this elongation. When you wear core nu, it's like armor. When you wear posture, there's a famous picture of Joe looking to his right to shield his right eye that was taken in boxing, lost in boxing, I guess. Taken maybe. Which I and others have flipped to him looking to his left as though his right eye is exposed, and that's not the original point of view. Why am I telling you this? Oh. In terms of looking in a direction, whichever way he was looking, he was in a portrait shot looking. And I took another picture of looking as well and lined up the 2 points of view to make the point that we're both looking at the same thing. Or at least I think I'm looking at something, and I'm trying to look at it through Joe's point of view. One workshop, we all took pictures of reaching for Joe's posture in our body. It's not just, though, about the individual's aspiration toward the expression. It's aspiration toward the ideal within the expression. And in terms of ideals, rotation at a hip is mechanical. It's ideal in nature. It's ideal in expression, I should say, maybe. It expresses an ideal, rotation. Like parallel, like straight. These are real things. So, in terms of filling out your chest, it's a matter of creating tension that is an inflation. See, I felt it in my body, and I wanted to go in front of a mirror and show you, but I won't do that. And all of you are already all, but there's flexibility to be had in your body where your inhale is a contributing part of the musculature that supports that inhale. You pull your lungs open. And the shape of that tension is ideal in the way the human being organizes itself to move through space. At least until life stops living forever. Because life can't live forever. Read between the lines, see behind the curtain, connect the dots. Connect the dots. Become an affiliate. Become a presenter. Start practicing and make money doing it by just offering to explain to somebody CT and MMP. And then after you connect the dots and get familiar with CT and MMP, evaluate points of view. From there, direct your thinking. Direct it. You. Geist.